Hello, people. How's it going? Well, it's supposed to rain today. Hasn't rained yet. Anyway, August 22nd, 1485. A day he will remember. The Battle of Boswell Field, of course. I'm just going to recommend a few books just because I feel like doing a history video. I haven't done one in a while. By the way, I recommend this one because I think this one will help you have an understanding of what eventually would lead up to the War of the Roses. Wars of the Roses, I should say. I mean, this does deal with the battles of Cressy and Poitiers and Agincourt with Henry II for a fifth. Henry number 5. Don't read Shakespeare for history. Okay? Don't read Shakespeare. Don't read Richard III. Don't read Henry V. It ain't history. It's propaganda. It's good propaganda, but it's still propaganda. But the 100-Year War, which actually was 114 years, has all the famous people in it, Edward III, and of course his son, which I have a book here, The Black Prince. I haven't read this book, but I've heard of him, so yeah, it's pretty good. Another book I would recommend because it is about the War, 100-Year War, which was actually 114 years. Edward, Prince of Wales and Aquitaine, known as the Black Prince, is one of the legendary figures of English history. Victor of 3 great battles and the model of chivalry and courtesy. Behind this image, which many of his contemporaries accepted and eagerly believed in, it is difficult to get to the realities of the character and of the life that he led. Blah, blah, blah. Froissart also wrote one. A lot of these guys were romanticized. He was romanticized. Henry V was romanticized. Richard III was a victim of political machinations by people who wrote plays. He probably wasn't the greatest king. This is true. I don't doubt that for a second. But he wasn't. I don't think he was as bad as Shakespeare painted him out to be. But anyway, this is a very good book. I mean, it's brief little synopsises of the 100 Years' War. Poitiers and the Black Prince, Cressy, Agincourt, of course, Richard II, who was. Yeah. I mean, it's a nice little book. It's very short. Of course, Joan of Arc is in here. But this book, which is a pretty big book, it's a pretty good biography of Richard. His rise to power, his machinations, his belief that he wasn't a saint, but I don't think he was the Shakespearean Richard III of, these are the time to try mid-souls. That's the wrong one, dummy. Why am I drawing a blank on the Son of York line from Shakespeare? 'Tis the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by the Son of York. That would be him. But I did like this book. It is a very good book about his machinations in his life and the trials and tribulations of being related to the king and other odds and ends. It's a good book. But yes, I don't buy the idea that Richard III was the tyrant portrayed in Shakespeare. Don't get me wrong, Shakespeare was brilliant, but he wasn't writing history. He definitely wasn't writing history. Now, Richard, of course, wasn't part of the 100 Years' War. He was part of the Wars of the Roses, the House of Lancaster versus the House of York, which Richard was the last king of the Yorkists to rule. Now, I've heard off and on things about her books. I like her books. I like this one. I've read a number of her books. I do like this book. It's very good. I would recommend this book on the Wars of the Roses. All the machinations of Richard II and Henry VI and John Gaunt of Gaunt, Henry IV, Henry V, blah 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 blah. I should be showing pictures, shouldn't I? I can't see any of that, but I mean, English history is fascinating. I like English history. English history is very interesting. I'm probably more into the Civil War with Charles I and Cromwell. But yeah, the Wars of the I won't say war, but it wasn't. It was a series of off and on battles between the House of Lancaster and the House of York, and they were all related to each other. So what really was a civil war, very very interesting civil war. But there's Richard the First, second. Sorry, there's Richard the Second. Not a very good king. No. There's Henry number 5. Let's see. Oh, there's Edward the Fourth. I mean, if you want to learn about the Wars of the Roses, this is a very good book to get. A very good book. Because I really do believe that without this, I really do think this is one of the major causes why there was Wars of the Roses, why there was the House of Lancaster and York, and all the machinations of the Edwards and the Henrys and the Richards and all the other names that. By the way, for a better clarification, because I know people would want one, this book is excellent for the different kings and queens who ruled England. This book literally begins, in the Celtic area. It literally begins with the Celts, 700 BC to 43 AD. This book is a great resource for all the kings, the queens, of England, Scotland, Wales, and every other place you can think of. Well, in England anyway, or the UK, I should say. This brief history of series is very good. They have a lot of good books on different subjects, like Henry VIII and the English Civil War, the Druids, the Celts, the Vikings, the Reformation, the English Reformation in England. This brief history of series is excellent. It is probably, you could almost learn about as much from the books I'm going to show you or have showed you from this one book. That's how good. That's how I like this book. I do enjoy it. Oh, and here is Edward. Here is Henry VI, father of Henry VIII, the usurper. Sorry, he usurped. I don't care. He usurped. That's what he did. I sometimes think he's the reason the princess disappeared, not Richard. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. Henry the Seventh and the dawn of the Tudor England. Oh, also, this series also does the Tudors. I have another book in here on the Tudors too, and the Plantagenets. It just amazes how all these lines are so connected. A lot of ways, this is where it came from. The Plantagenets, Henry II, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Richard the Lionheart, John I. I'm sure I'm forgetting a whole bunch of other people. Oh, Edward 1, 2, 3. We won't go into what happened to Edward 2. But, if the personalities, the kings, the battles, the wars constantly with the French and the English constantly trying to take the crown away. Because they really did convince themselves that is our crown. That is ours. France is ours. Stop trying to take it away from us. Oh, great. Joan of Arc took it away from us. And she did. And then the English burned her at the stake. Well, that's a whole different story. But, that's in here. Edward, all that's in here. Anyway, this is the mother of Henry VII. Same author, of course. Elizabeth of York, Tudor Queen and her world. I really should have brought that other book on the Tudors, because, that's who his Henry VII was. He changed his last name to Henry Tudor, and he became King Henry VII. And his son, King Henry VIII. And the Tudor dynasty began, and would last until Elizabeth I died. But you have to study history and realize that these people were really living people. They were glory hounds. They were powerful. They wanted power. They wanted to rule. They felt they had the right to rule. They attacked France constantly. The 100-year war was actually 114 years, if not a little bit longer. But I do think that if it hadn't been for the 100 Years' War, which exasperated things in England, there wouldn't have been a War of the Roses, a Wars of the Roses. Because they are connected. I mean, these are all dynastic families that go way back to the Plantagenets. I mean, come on. This is all the way back to Henry II and his. I like Henry II. Henry II is probably my favorite king. Should have brought the book over here, but I didn't. There's a lot of books I should have brought. Maybe by next time I do one of these, I'll bring that over. But this book is good. This book is excellent. He's written one on Henry V. He's written one on Richard III. He's written one on Eleanor of Aquitaine. He's written this one. I do like his book. I think he's one of the very first authors when I really started getting into British history. It's this guy. Once again, this book is excellent. I know that I think people criticize her for being a little romantic about it, but I didn't see that. I don't see it as being overly romantic. I think there were romantic aspects of it, but I still think it's a very good book on what finally led to Henry VII saying enough is enough. I'm saying I'm taking over, and I'm going to do something that really is kind of illegal to get, in charge. Sorry, I don't think Richard III was the tyrant that they claim him to be. Now, was he a great nice guy? No. Was he a great king? No. He was a man of his time. But excellent book, very good book. And Elizabeth of York, Henry VII's mom. I think she had Henry when she was 13, I think. Because I know she died young. She died awfully young. She had old Henry VII when she was a very young kid. And I mean kid. I mean 13. If I remember correctly. This is Henry. This is a good book. I've heard very good things about this book, and I like this book, so I read it. But let's see. Where are the pictures? I know there are pictures in here. There they are. Trying to find the most famous picture of Henry. There's Henry. There's Henry. Where's the more famous one? Those are the famous picture. Just can't find it. Read the book. Read Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a brilliant writer. Don't get me wrong. He wrote very good political historical propaganda. That's a lot of what his historical plays were. They weren't history. They were look, the Tudors, they did the right thing. So don't behead me. That's kind of what he did. Still a great writer, though. But anyway. Then we got, of course, Prince of Wales. Edward, the Black Prince. I haven't read this book. I've skimmed it, but I haven't read it yet. But, the Battle of Crécy, the Battle of Poitiers. Once again, the French learning that the English are better than them. At least in the beginning, anyway. Because eventually, I believe Agincourt was the last major battle the English won. And then, everything went downhill from there. This book is good. This book is probably worth all those. This book really does go into very good details about the Tudors, House of Lancaster and York. There's Edward V. They lived very long. Yeah. See, Edward VI. I'm trying to find Richard first. Jane, 9 Days Queen is in here. Jane Grey, Lady Jane Grey is in here. Proclaimed Queen of England, July 10th, 1553. Deposed, 19 July, 1553. She died at 16. Let's see. I'm just trying to find something. Richard. I want Richard III. This should not be this difficult. I'll try to show you what it looks like. House of Lancaster and York, 1399 to 1485. Henry Bolingbroke. It has, there's Henry V again. That's my birthday. Anyway, but yes, this is an excellent book. Good resource material that covers all that I put up there in my books. I like English history. I like the characters. I like studying the battles. This is one of the very few times that the politics of those eras is interesting, because it really was about I'm the king and I will do as I want. And stop telling me what to do. Okay, Henry VIII, I got it. But anyway, I mean, Richard was not a monster. He was a product of his time, but he was not a monster. Sorry, William, but he was not a monster. Anyway, but I like studying the battles, Tewkesbury, Lee, and the Wars of the Roses. All kinds of other battles. And I'm drawing a blank, of course, because that's how my brain works. But, I like history. I know I ramble sometimes, but I'm fascinated by things I don't know, things I want to learn, and things I don't remember and I want to learn again. I mean, there is something fascinating about English history. And this nation that literally could not keep a king long enough, or had one too long, had constant inner squabbles and constant inner wars with itself. This, that, and the other rose to be an empire that almost the sun never set on. I mean, that, by the way, only goes up to Elizabeth, by the way. I'm not sure what year it was published, but Elizabeth II is still point. But anyway, I might do another one. Other ones on more British history. I just wanted to do something today. I seem to be procrastinating too much on my videos, but 100 Years War is interesting. How it started, how just the French just kept losing and just at the very end, the British lose, the English lose. But yeah, I mean, you have Henry V, of course, of Shakespeare fame, who was not really a nice guy, by the way. He really was kind of his history has been a little whitewashed by Mr. Shakespeare. But Joan of Arc, you have all the Battle of Agincourt, the Battle of Crécy, and the Battle of Poitiers, and those are the ones I remember right off the top of my head. I mean, you all have all the players, the Edwards and the Elizabeths and the Richards and the Johns and the Edwards. I already said that. Henry, Edward, Richard. I'm missing somebody. But anyway, it is interesting. I like it. I'm just rambling. But then again, that's how I do things. Supposed to dry for some reason. It looks like it wants to rain. It's supposed to rain today. Well, anyway, I will try to do something a little more interesting. Or to me, this is interesting. I know I don't exactly come across as I'm not sure how I come across sometimes. See, I like the subject. I talk. I don't know how many people are actually listening to this or wanting to. If people would respond, would be nice. I mean, I would like some feedback. Would be nice. But history isn't taught. History is more my thing. I enjoy it, even if sometimes I'm uncertain of if I got my facts straight. I can always go back and change it or fix it. But human history is fascinating. English history is fascinating. But anyway, like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you for listening. Behave yourselves, people, but I'm not going to. Later.